Max Olson of The Athletic. Very nice to carve out some time for us today because Max is, I know Mike Norvell or Lane Kiffin can claim to be the portal king, but Max is the true portal king because he has to monitor all of it for The Athletic, and it is portal season. I know this is probably at the point now we're 3 years into this thing or 4 years in that nothing surprises you, but are there guys in the portal that did take you back a little bit?
I think there are names that are going to enter the portal in the next few days that will surprise some people. Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a lot of rumors right now, especially this quarterback market. I think it's extremely active right now and is about to get crazier. Not just with the underclassmen that'll enter on Monday, but over these next few days, the guys that are grad transfers. Surprises, no. I mean, I think we're still, this phase before December 4th is really primarily grad transfers. Because they can enter at any time, and then it's really guys leaving programs where they just had a coaching change. So in some ways, you're not surprised by some of the groups of players you're seeing. Some of these schools that are getting hit pretty hard, like an Indiana or Middle Tennessee or UTEP, that had coaching changes. Kind of all their best players become available, which is kind of crazy to watch that play out. But I think we're still due for lots of big ones here on Monday.
What a tease. Lots of big names. I mean, we were just talking about Blake Shapen, Max, how he jumped in the portal a couple of days ago. And I don't think it was a total shock just because of everything going on here right now with, a Randa on the hot seat and just the firing of Jeff Grimes. But he jumped in a couple of days ago. Maybe he's a top 10 transfer quarterback at that point, but I mean, shoot, DJU jumps in, Dante Moore jumps in. I mean, he might be like top 20 now. He might be top 30 come Monday. I mean, it's kind of insane, that quarterback market, and I guess no end in sight, as you're referring to there. Yeah, no, it's funny. It's like I think you're probably right. That's probably the right way to sum it up. There's just been a lot of pretty proven guys that have hit the portal in the past 48 hours that would probably move Shapen down that list. Although I think in the right spot, I think he can be pretty productive. But, it's funny, guys, like Jake Spavital gets hired today, and probably the first question for him is, all right, who are we getting at quarterback? And it's like, let me get in the building first and see what we've got, right? I mean, but it's such a moving target, all of this stuff. I've talked to lots of coaches who are like, yeah, we're in the market for a quarterback. We're not sure who the OC is going to be next year, so we've got a lot to figure out here. So, yeah, it's I think for these players, especially like the Blake Shapens of the world, who have put some good stuff on tape, but are still kind of looking for, you kind of hoping that some teams will take a chance on them. Like, you got to get in now and got to make a decision pretty quickly because there's going to be even more that enter the market here on Monday and in the next few days. So you hope those guys can find a good fit, and they're not just looking at this in terms of trying to get a check. They can find a place where they can go be a starter and put up stats. Well, you mentioned his name, Jake Spavital. The news coming down today that he will be the man to take over the Baylor offense post Jeff Grimes and post Blake Shapen most likely as well. Your thoughts on him, Max? Has been around Texas quite a bit, been at Cal most recently, but what do you think about that choice by Dave Randa and the change in direction there?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jake Spavital. I thought that, got to know him a little bit when he was at West Virginia, and I thought, certainly you saw in their build-up in Dana's final years there with Will Greer, when he's got a quarterback, obviously he knows how to recruit some playmakers, but when he's got a quarterback and you really kind of see the full potential of his offense, I think he's one of the better guys out there. And so, that was always kind of the challenge as the head coach at Texas State, is he just, in that tenure there, and they obviously had to lean on the portal a lot, but just never really totally got it right at quarterback and never got to kind of see how good they could be, although they got better in his last year, especially on defense. But, I thought he had an interesting situation at Cal this year where they had three quarterbacks, ended up playing a freshman and stuff. So again, like, not really seeing the full potential there, although they did improve and they did have, he inherited a good back there. So they ran the ball, but I think he's a really good pick. And I think that, interested to see kind of how they fill out the offensive staff from here. But, in terms of a guy that can scheme up good stuff for what they've got, I think he's one of the better ones out there, and really interested to see kind of what can they go pick up this offseason to kind of fit what he wants to do.
Max, I'll just tell you, and I'm sure you know this from reading about it or seeing it, but retaining Dave Randa was not a popular decision here in Waco.
I nearly spit out my Diet Coke when you said that, to say the least.
It was, to say the least. It was not the popular decision with the fans. What, from your perspective from the outside looking in, what is that decision? What did you think? It was a good one to bring him back? Do you think that, what is he going to have to navigate here in this next year?
I think I think it's clear, and it has been clear all season, that Mack Rhoades did not want to make a coaching change, despite all the really bad results on the field. I think it's very clear Mack Rhoades fully believes that Dave Randa is the right guy for this job, that he can get this thing fixed. I think I can understand the frustration, because I think if you're a fan and you went to these games this year, you're like, where's the momentum? Where's the thing I'm pointing to and feeling like, all right, we're going to be a lot better next year. I understand like the belief of like, oh man, there's good young players in this program and guys they had to roll out this year and play as freshmen, and you hope that they're better a year or two now, and you kind of just had to take your lumps this year. And look, that's also kind of where the Big 12's at, right? I mean, there's just not easy games on the schedule anymore, and it's not going to get easier next year. But I think it's a really critical offseason for a staff that's had a lot of turnover under Dave Randa already, and so I'm curious to see. I think Spavital's a great pick. I think they're going to have to be pretty aggressive here in terms of upgrading the roster to get it competitive with the rest of the Big 12 and be more aggressive in the portal. And that's probably going to be expensive, but that's what you got to do. And I think for what it's worth, you go look at West Virginia this year. I mean, no, that fan base did not want Neil Brett back either. And in a lot of ways was rooting for him to fail at a bunch of points this season. And they went 8-4. They believed in, that they were heading in the right direction despite some of the players they've lost. And Neil Brown took over play calling on offense and was like, I'm going to go out my way if I'm going out. And things got better, right? And the schedule was a little bit easier for them this year, but things got better. So it's not impossible that this thing can get turned around. I don't think this is necessarily doomed. There's an example of it in the conference this year, but man, it's going to take a lot of hard work to catch up to the rest of the conference.
Max, you had a piece on Oklahoma State and the run that they've been on, and obviously taking a focus in on their defensive coordinator. Texas, the big challenge on Saturday, the final send-off for the Longhorns. They want to go out obviously on top and with final bragging rights, but what do you make of this game? And obviously the Oklahoma State side of things, just what it took to get here, even taking a couple of lumps throughout the season.
Yeah, it's funny if you kind of just judge Oklahoma State by, they lost to USF and they lost to South Alabama and those games weren't close and stuff, then I think you're kind of missing the story of this team this year. I mean, it's a really tough, resilient team that honestly, guys, when I talk to coaches in the offseason, I think a lot of people within the league expected Oklahoma State to really take a step back and be like a 6-6 kind of team this year, just based on what they lost. But it's a testament to Mike Gundy making a lot of the right moves this offseason. I thought like you said, I wrote about Brian Nardo, their DC that they brought in from Division II Gannon. And look, their defense has not been lighting the world on fire this year, but they have found a way to win some close games, including against Oklahoma and that last one against BYU. And, been impressed by the progress they've made over the course of the year. Alan Bowman was not a very sexy take out of the portal, but certainly has been good enough for them this year. And, when you find a real special player like Ollie Gordon, that obviously makes things a lot easier. So really been impressed by the run they had this year. I think there's a lot of guys that could have deserved Big 12 Coach of the Year, but I certainly understand the argument for Gundy. For them to get this far this year, I think a lot of people did not expect it. And, they're a big dog this weekend, but very interested to see if they can make Texas sweat.
Max, I know you got to go. I know we'd love to talk to you for like 20 more minutes, but thanks for having, it is portal season. And like I said, you're the real portal king. So enjoy the weekend as much as you can. I know you're going to be insanely busy, but Max, thanks for hopping on. We'll talk to you again next week if you're not just swamped in stories that you have to write.
Well, that's very kind of you guys. There's lots of good experts out there on the portal. And now I must go return to the portal. Farewell.
All right. Best of luck. There you go, Max Olson.
You need to put on a scuba mask.